Alright, so what's up?
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. You gotta get back on the boy. Gotta show these results. What was I supposed to be doing?
Did you just come for food for less?
No, it was in general discount. I got a bunch of stuff for $5. Like $5. You got time? 58? Huh? 58? Oh, this is a 5-pack, you know what that means? No sharing. Big pack you can share. So, big pack for sharing. Put up there. Whoa. I got a question, man. When you have
What's going on?
Can you hear me? Let's say you're my supervisor, right? And then Joey is your supervisor. Does your personal volume and his, your org volume with him count as org volume? Yeah. All of it counts? Yeah. If I'm your sponsor, right? You're a supervisor under me, and he is too. But so you guys are in a line, like he's he's your third line, let's say. Third line, second line, or whatever. Yeah. His org is gonna go to you and me. Gotcha. Yeah. It all triples up. Like my org goes to my mom, which also goes to us. And then your personal also goes. My personal goes to my mom.
Yeah?
So it's like you have 20K per 20K org, and then 7K personal. She gets 27 org. So yeah. Because I'm a sub, so she's gonna get my volume as org. And my org, she's gonna get my org up to my second level. She won't get my third level. Because there'll be 4 levels. Are we recording already? What up? Alright. Alright, so it is 11 o'clock. So we're going to start. Welcome to Herbalife University, guys. Yeah! Alright. So today we're going to be talking about what I learned in this book. So to give credit where it's due, the book is called How to Sell Anything to Anyone, Anytime. Alright? So for the guys on Ustream, hello Ustream. So we got how to sell anything to anyone, anytime. That is the thing. Let me cancel out this notification. Alright. So let's start with the basics. So we all know the basics. Use word talk, be branded, you know, all the normal things that we should be doing each and every day, right? So those are the basics. But within those basics, right, there's a lot of things that you have to, or that you get to take on. So the first step that I want to teach you guys is, first of all, you want to make sure that you are the right person, right? Because if you have a negative attitude, or if you don't communicate to people in a way that's accepted well, then anything that you do is going to be taken the wrong way, almost, you know? Like, you can have a really, really nice camera, but if you have a bad lens, right, no matter how good that camera is, the end result is what's going through that lens, you know, through that filter. So you got to make sure your filter is clean, basically, okay? Very, very important. All right, so to start off, what is a salesperson, right? So because basically Herbalife, we don't, the business, the way it works, right, we know it's not really sales, but on paper it is sales, and technically it's sales. So if you can focus, if you can learn how to sell, like the book said, if you can learn how to sell anything to anyone, anytime, then something like Herbalife, where people already want it, you'll be able to be more effective when you are encountering people. So, what is a salesperson? So does anyone have an idea what a salesperson is? Any guesses?
Person that can show you what you want, I can go with you, pretty much tell you what you want, and you, at the end result, are influencing the one to get action.
Good.
Someone that's basically trying to persuade you to buy something.
Okay, persuasion. Okay, so the truth about sales is that you cannot sell anything. It's impossible to sell something. Why? Because the decision is always on the buyer, right? All you can do is influence someone to buy something, right? Like if you go buy a nice TV from Walmart, right? And then you tell your friend, oh my gosh, this TV is amazing, check this out, look at all the stuff it does, and they go buy it, you sold them that TV. Even though you didn't make money from it, you influenced them to buy that TV. That's all sales is influencing someone's decision making, okay? So you cannot sell anything technically, right? You know, nobody can go up to you and say, you're buying this and take your money, you know, that's stealing. A salesperson is simply someone who helps people buy, someone who helps people make a choice, and someone who studies the product and knows the customer, right? Or, I'm sorry, knows the product and studies the customer. I said that backwards. So, a lot of times we get wrapped up in knowing about our products, which is awesome. Do know your products, right? But know more about your customer. It's very, very important. I know that myself, when I'm talking to somebody, I really figure out that person, I really figure out what's important to them, and I tailor the things that I say and the products that I present to them based on the customer, right? If the customer wants to gain weight and you're trying to get them on products to lose weight, you don't know your customer. So it's very important to know, and we'll talk about that later, about you know, that step. So selling is the science of helping people get what they want, right? So it's not necessarily persuasion, not to knock down what you say, right? But I understand what you mean. True sales is simply helping people get what they already want, right? So you're just, like I said, you're helping them make a decision. So you're not persuading them so much. You're making it easier for them. Okay? And then also selling is the process of helping people make decisions that lead to them buying. So we kind of said that before, you know, you can't really sell anything, but you can help people make the decisions to lead to a sale. All right, so to the nitty-gritty committee. All right, so I want you guys to, on your papers, draw a circle. This is going to be similar to the Wheel of Success, but it's going to be called the Cycle of Sales. The Herbalife bottle.
How about you? There's a way.
I feel like
so disengaged when I'm not in front. Sorry.
Can everyone on Ustream hear me? Alright, I don't know. Huh?
There's a couple of people watching.
Alright, so now that you have your wheel, go ahead and draw a line through it halfway horizontally. So now it's in 2 halves. Alright, and then draw an X, so a perfect X. So your wheel should be in 6 equal parts. That's an awesome X. Give it for Theo's perfect wheel over there. Okay, so start at the top and write the number 1, and then go all the way around, all the way to 6. Is someone here? What's up? Welcome. Huh? This is Herbalife University.
Oh, okay. I live
Are you a health coach? An Herbalife health coach?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
We're
Great. That's fine.
All right. That's 7.
Well, just keep track. Just keep integrity, right? So just keep track of how many minutes. Don't do it right now. Don't do it. Just keep track of how many minutes you're late, and we'll do it at the end or something. All right. So on the wheel you have your 1 through 6. Okay. So number 1 is going to be engaging with the right people. Okay. So a lot of times we'll go out, we'll talk to everyone, and then we get discouraged because we get no's. But the truth is, not everyone is the right person. That's just the truth about it, right? So engaging with the right people. So the way that we do that, right, the methods of that is face-to-face. You know, phone calls, Instagram, social media, you know. And the right people are people who are interested and or right timing, right? Because sometimes people are interested and there's not right timing. And then sometimes people may not even know about Herbalife, but the timing's right and they're open to it, okay? So don't beat yourself up and think that, you know, you're not doing a good job. All right, so I'm going to, basically on 1, we know kind of how to find the right people a lot of times, right? A lot of times we have leads and we have people that we've talked to, but what we want to go into more is how to get those people, how to convert those people into sales, how to convert those people into yeses and things like that. So, number 2 is make them comfortable with you, okay? So, making someone comfortable with you is basically building rapport, right? Because what that does is it breaks the ice, it opens the customer up. And there's several ways to make a person comfortable with you. And so I'm going to expand on that a little bit for number 2. So you have to understand with sales, the greater the risk, the greater the relationship must be, okay? If someone's making a small choice, like, oh, I want to buy this $1 candy bar for me, right? You see the people going around selling candy bars. I used to do it when I was in school, in elementary school, right? You don't have to really build rapport and build a relationship with somebody over a candy bar because it's $1. There's not a lot of risk there, right? If the candy bar is fake or old or just not good, they'll take it up as a loss because it's just $1, right? But now we're dealing with nutrition programs that are, you know, anywhere between $100 to $300. So there's a lot more risk involved. So you have to build some kind of relationship or rapport with people prior to them actually making that decision. Now some people, like you'll get random people that are just like, I don't care, just give it to me, right? But that rarely happens. And so you have to make people comfortable. So the relationship is 100% determined by the customer, okay? No matter how positive, happy, motivated, or you know, excited you are about the products or any of that, right? The relationship is 100% on the customer. They are going to feel the way that they feel, and that is going to be the influence of whether or not you get the sale, right? If the customer isn't happy with your presentation, if the customer isn't comfortable enough, or if it's just too much risk, right? If the customer is not comfortable, it's not happening, no matter how excited you are, no matter how good your product is. So it's 100% on the customer. So just to go over some things, how to make a customer comfortable with you, right? First step, be polite, right? Be polite with people, say hi, smile, right? All these things are important. Just basic steps, you know? Work on your personality. That's why personal development is such a huge thing, because the better person you become, the more natural this becomes for you. You know, if you're not naturally someone who smiles and talks to people, happy and saying hi, doing personal development is going to help in that area. Disarming honesty, right? So disarming honesty is this, for an example. Hey, how are you doing today? Right? So, and then the person's like, great, how are you doing? And then you respond and you're like, you know, I woke up this morning and I stubbed my toe, right? But I'm all right, I'm doing great, right? Because disarming honesty is you're being a little bit vulnerable, right? And you're showing the person that you're not perfect, right? And so like, oh, I stubbed my toe this morning, right? It's something they can relate to. And they're like, oh, okay, right? And it's just something small, and it may not seem like a big deal, but later in the conversation, they're gonna, it's more of a subconscious thing. They're gonna be a little bit more comfortable with you because now they know, okay, this is a real person, you know? Because a lot of people look at salespeople as not being people, you know? They don't look at salespeople, oh, they have emotions and they have things going on in their life, you know? They just look at salespeople as, oh, they're just trying to make money off me, you know? So you kind of have to disarm that person with a little bit of honesty. But not negativity at the same time. Like, oh, I woke up and I had a bad day. Well, you know, not that kind of honesty. All right. Humor, right? So humor is one that I've mastered, or I feel like I've mastered. I tend to make people laugh. I don't know if they're laughing at me or with me, but as long as they're laughing, it's pretty cool. So humor is great because like I said, it gets that person through the ice. It breaks that ice on people. A sincere compliment, right? Not something empty. Like, oh, you look cute. Like, sometimes that works with people, but if it's a sincere compliment, like, you know, I really like those shoes. You know, they match well with this. You know, like something a little bit more specific so the person knows that you're not just giving them empty compliments. All right? Mention a personal connection. Right? So if you go at the gym in a yoga class, you know, just mention, hey, like, you're pretty good at this yoga thing. Like, it seems like you have a deep passion for this, so do I. You know, you don't want to go overboard with it, but you just want to mention it. And then, of course, bring value to every interaction. So sometimes, like, I know we have face-to-face interactions, and in our mind, we want people to just buy. At the end of that conversation, like, be ready to buy almost, you know? But what you have to realize is sometimes it takes more than one interaction with a person. Sometimes you have to see somebody 6 times, 7 times before they're like, you know, tell me about this Herbalife thing or whatever. So make sure every time you see someone, bring value to that interaction. So if you see someone, it's not just, oh, hey, how you doing? Cool. Have a good day, right? Bring value to it. Ask them about their kids, ask them about their job, and then try to offer any advice that you can, because now there's value in that interaction, and that will pay off later. Short story about bringing value. I told it on one of the calls. I met a gentleman at the beach and had a long conversation with him about life and nutrition and things like that. And I just built a lot of value in that conversation. I gave him life tips. I gave him tips on just eating right and things like that. And then he ended up, it took 2 months, right? But he ended up calling me 2 months later and put in a $400 order. And so it just goes to show, if I wouldn't have built that value in that interaction, right, he may have never called me. So just bring value to every interaction, all right? So that was number 2. Is that pretty good? You guys got some good stuff out of that?
Yep.
Okay. Number 3 is find out what they want, right? So this one's a little easy. It's easy for us because we kind of know what people want when they come to us about Herbalife, or when we approach someone and they mention it. And you want to make sure you're not manipulating someone, right, into buying something they don't need or want. or any of that, right? You're simply catering to their needs, what they want, right? So the easiest way to find out what someone wants is ask, right? What are your fitness goals? What is your why, right? Get to the root of why they want to, find out what they want first. I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose? 25 pounds. Awesome. Why, right? So get all of that why and what and all those W's out the way, because what that's going to do, it's going to give you exactly what you need to know to present them with, right? And it's more than just like, oh, I want to lose 25 pounds. Okay, cool. Here's our, get lean program, whatever it is, right? You also want to get into features and benefits, right? And that's what we're going to go into next. Also, get to the root of what they want, right? Because think about it, people will spend a lot of money on Jordans, right? They'll spend money on Jordans but won't buy the nutrition plan. Why? Why would they do that, right? Find out why, right? If someone's buying Jordans and all these things, the reason why they're buying those shoes is because society says these shoes are cool, right? These shoes are rare. And if you wear Jordans, then you're amazing, right? And I know some people just love shoes, which is awesome because I love cars, right? But some people, right, will give their last of even food money to get these new Jordans because they feel like they need them for a certain reason. That reason is because, whatever they've been led to believe their whole life. And so if you can help people get what they want, like let's say someone wants to be more confident. When they're wearing Jordans, they're more confident, right? But if they have regular shoes on, they're not confident. So if you can help people be more confident, or whatever it is they're looking for, if you can show them how Herbalife can give them that, it's easier. All right. So number 4 is show them what you have gives them what they want. So after you find out what they want, show them exactly how Herbalife can give them what they want. Right. The gentleman on the beach, right? His why was to find a woman, right? Because he's getting older, he's financially successful, he owns his own business, he lives right there on Playa Vista, in one of those beach houses, and he wants to find a woman. He's single, and he's lonely, right? And so how can Herbalife help him find a woman, right? So my conversation to him wasn't so much as, well, this is going to improve your health and this and that. I mentioned it, right? But what I focused on was the fact that him getting in better shape and all these different things is going to make him more attractive, right? And by becoming more attractive, he's going to attract the right person into his life. And so I helped, in that step, right, I helped him see that what I have is going to give him what he wants, right? And he's lost like 18 pounds now. He's more confident. He's out in Vegas meeting women now, so it's awesome, right? So I'm happy for him. But that's what I did for that, right? So number 4 is basically what I said. Show them what you have, gives them what they want. And the way that you do that is features versus benefits, right? So, perfect example, Jacob. What can you tell me? Tell me what can rebuild strength do for me?
It's gonna help you build lean muscle.
What else? Name something great about it.
It cuts your recovery time down in half.
Perfect. Okay. So Jacob said that rebuild strength can help you build lean muscle, and it'll cut your recovery time down in half. Okay. So what he just gave me was a benefit and a feature, which is really good. Because that's what you want to do. You want to balance your benefits and features. Now the difference between a benefit and a feature, right? A feature is rebuild strength will cut your recovery time in half. That's a feature, right? A benefit would be with rebuild strength, you will recover twice as fast, right? Because now it's going from what rebuild strength can do to what you're going to benefit from. Or it's a fine line, right? It's similar, but that switch in your conversation changes everything. So it goes from rebuild strength will cut your recovery time in half to you will recover twice as fast using this product, right? You see kind of the difference? It's a little different. Another big difference between features and benefits, right? Like, someone might say, Rebuild Strength has 24 grams, tricore protein, blah, 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 blah. Those are all features, right? But the benefit that he mentioned was you will build lean muscle, right? You're going to build lean muscle. That's a benefit. So you want to make sure you balance your features and benefits, because a lot of times some people get so wrapped up in features that people are just like hearing all these things and they're not really hearing what's in it for them, right? So benefits are all about, or features are all about what it is, what it does, its ingredients, and why it's unique, right? It's all about the product. Those are features.
And you're just what it does.
What it is, what it does, the ingredients, and why it's unique. These are all features. And features are great. 50% of your conversation about Herbalife should be features. Right? But you want to make sure, what we lack a lot of times is benefits. So you want to make sure that you're giving the customer also benefits. So a benefit is, so what, right? So what that it has 9 grams of protein? So what that has 24 grams of trichromatin? You know, so what, right? If the customer were to say, so what, you would say, well, that's going to help you building muscle. That's going to, you know, do this for you. And that is what you want to do. You want to have that kind of conversation with people. And then also benefits answer the question, what's in it for me, right? If someone says, well, what's in it for me? You know, why do I need glutamine in my body, right? And you can let them know. You're going to, you know, recover twice as fast. That's what the glutamine does for you. All right, so people buy benefits, not features, right? There is a million different things out there on the market, right? There's a million different protein shakes and meal shakes and things with the same amount of protein, maybe, the same amount of calories, right? But why Herbalife, right? Because the benefits of Herbalife, the things that come with it, right? The research, all these different things with benefits that allow you to have the upper hand, right? And allow people to make that buying decision. Another features and benefits thing, you, right? So you might say, well, like say you're a personal trainer also, right? You're like, well, I'm a personal trainer also, and I took a nutrition course, and I'm a health coach, and I'm world team, or whatever it is, right? Those are all benefits. That's great, but those are benefits. Nobody cares about that, right? People want to know, can you help them, right? So speaking from a benefit mindset, if you're a personal trainer or you're just really good at doing this, right? You should have that confidence just to tell them, look, right here, I can help you, right? So I can help you. You're going to lose this weight, right? These are all benefits. And then you can piggyback those with, I can help you, right? I'm a personal trainer on the side, so I have a lot of experience doing this. But you want to make sure the focus is on the benefit. And I know these are like really small things, and it may not seem like it makes a big difference, but it does. It really does. I don't know, it's like subconscious. I'm really big on subconscious, by the way. So another book that you guys can read if you haven't yet, it's been mentioned a million times, is Jack Canfield's Key to the Law of Attraction. And that book really gives you insight. Hope you guys can hear me. That book really gives you insight to the power of your subconscious mind, right? And there's also a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which I also read. So, whole another conversation. All right, so also during number 4, you want to involve the customer in your presentation, okay? Because what happens is they start to think about them in it, them doing Herbalife, right? You don't want to just be like, yeah, it's going to help cut your recovery time in half, and it's going to do all these things for you. You want to paint a picture. And I know that we say it a lot, but I really started doing this with people, right? When I talk to people, and they're like, well, how does Herbalife work? Or how can I make money with Herbalife? That's like my favorite conversation. And I let people know, I don't even say the marketing plan. I don't say any of that. I say, what is your health goal? What is your fitness goal? They say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I say, awesome. And I say, who would notice if you lost 20 pounds and you were 20 pounds down next month, right? Who would notice? And they would say, well, my family, my friends, my coworkers. Exactly. So imagine, right? Imagine you walk in here, 20 pounds lighter, and your coworkers and friends and family are asking you what you did, right? And you did Herbalife. What would you do? Well, I would tell them I did Herbalife. And I would say, exactly. And as a member of Herbalife, you have the ability to help people get started on programs and make income off of it, right? So naturally, if people are coming to you, wouldn't you help them out? Wouldn't you want your family and friends to be in better shape? And of course, they say yes, and I say exactly, and you would make money doing that. And then they start thinking, and in their head, they're like imagining all these people that they know, right, that they can get started on programs. And that's how I do it. That's how I have been able to recruit people and help them get started on their plan, and then also they join the team so that they can, become Herbalife independent distributors. So it's very, very easy to do that with people who already got the results or with your clients, right? I was telling Eileen last night, all of my team members started as clients, almost all of them. I have a very, very few who start right away as coaches. All of my downline have started as clients, every last one of them. And just to like throw a number so that you guys like kind of like can see, I have currently 103 downline, and probably only 50 of those people I've signed up myself. But almost every last one of them have been clients first, right? And once they got the results, then I just had a conversation with them and I said, who's noticing, Or some of them have come to me and say, like all these people are like asking me, I think I want to be a coach now, right? But most people, I have a conversation, who's noticing? That's awesome, cool, blah, 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 and then I'm like, they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, my mom noticed and she's kind of interested. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, you have two options here. You can send her my way, right? And I'm going to make money from that. And she's going to get really, really healthy. And then I say, or you can become a member. I can teach you exactly what I did, right? And you can help your mom out, right? And then if you choose that you want to make money from this, you can do so. And they're like, well, I don't have time. And I'm like, and then I don't have time conversation is always, well, what are you doing now? Like you're posting on Instagram, you're eating, So I just paint a picture with people. So yeah, was that pretty good? You guys answered this stuff. Number 5 is give them a reason to buy now. Right? Because if you don't want to pressure them, but you also don't want them to leave thinking that they have all the time in the world to get started, right? So a couple ways to give them a reason to buy now. With us, it's not recommended, right? But just in the general marketplace, when it comes to any kind of sales, is like sales, right? Like if you go to a store and it's like 75% off, right? You're not going to go in that store. You're going to go in the store and look for something to buy because it's 75% off, not because you need it, right? So I don't recommend doing sales so much, right? But you can offer people the 25% discount as a member, right? And that's how you can help people start the team as well. If people are interested in a discount, right, then you can offer them the opportunity. But another good way to get people in that mindset of buying now is mention like when we come out with the new flavors. Herbalife does this on purpose. When orange cream came out the first time, it was just seasonal, right? People had that mindset. I need to buy this now, right? Because it's going to run out. Same thing with pumpkin spice. It's that now mindset, So like when orange cream came out, and even though it says, that it's added to the lineup now, right? You don't want to post that because now people are like, oh, it's part of the normal line, so I'll start in 3 months. It'll still be there, right? You don't want to lie at the same time, so just don't say anything. Just be like, orange cream is back, yeah, get it now. You're not lying, you're not saying it's limited time, you're just saying get it now. It's back, right? But don't be like, yeah, it's now part of the line, so come get it. Like, it's counterproductive, you know?
Right.
So that, and then what I always every interaction with a person, I give them a reason to buy by saying reason to buy now by mentioning some kind of current event, right? So what I mean by that is I had a wellness evaluation, and the lady that I was speaking to, I could tell she was kind of procrastinating a little bit. And I'd asked her, when do you want to reach your fitness goal, right? And for most people, like by summertime. So I was like, awesome, by summertime, right? So that's in my head. So the reason to buy now was because summer's coming, right? And I let her know that time stops for no one, right? Time's gonna keep going, right? So time's gonna keep going. You can't stop time. So without saying those words, without saying it, but I basically let her know, look, if you don't start now, you're just losing time, right? You need time, you're gonna need some time to get to your goal by summertime, right? Summer's coming, so you might as well get started now so that you can reach your goal by summer, right? Because I don't want summer to come and you're not at your goal because you decided to start 2 months later in this conversation, right? And that kind of makes them think like, it's right, you know? So that is how I give them a reason to action.
Oh, I was just gonna say another thing with that too. What I've been kind of saying is a lot of people, like I always ask, like, oh, what are you doing for spring break? And a lot of people, well, because I'm in school, but a lot of people are actually go on trips. A lot of people go to Vegas during that time and stuff like that. So that's another way to like say, oh, well, spring break's 2 months away.
Right.
So, you know.
That's really good. Right. So time is always a reason to buy now, right? So just find whatever it is. If summer's coming, boom, right? There's always some kind of holiday coming up, right? People go see their families, you know. Put that in their head, like, well, don't you want to be 15 pounds down the next time you go see your family? You know, so always give them that reason to buy now. Next is always ask for action, AAA. That's how you remember, AAA, always ask for action, right? So no matter what interaction you have, whether you're just talking to someone briefly about it, if you actually do make a sale, or even if somebody says no or whatever it is, always ask for action. And asking for action means this. I talk to someone, hi Elle, this is Herbalife, blah, 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 blah. You're like, cool, I'm thinking about it, I'll let you know, right? Most people are like, okay, cool, right? That's not asking for action, you failed, right? At that point, the best that you can do as a salesperson is say, great, when do you think you'll be ready, right? And then like, well, I don't know, keep asking for action. Okay, how about I give you a call on this day, right? And like, okay, great. Or I'll give you a call in a month, I'll give you a call in 2 weeks, right? And then they say, okay, awesome, right? Now you ask for action because now you've set a standing appointment, right? So they're not completely gone now. Because if you say, okay, no problem, and leave, right? They may never come back. But if you have that standing appointment, whether they keep it or not, they know that in 2 weeks or in a month, that they're going to be expecting a phone call from you, right? So for someone who really wants to do it, if it really takes them a month, they're going to do whatever they need to in that month so that when you call, they're ready, or they'll call you before. But it keeps them in your head, right? It's subconscious. It keeps them in your head. If you set a standing appointment, whether they consciously remember that appointment or not, their subconscious is going to remember it forever. And so that's always going to be in the back of your head, like, dang, that Herbalife guy, you know, like always. And then after they ponder it enough times, they're going to eventually call you. It's just how it works. Just a gee whiz information, like quick tip, right? I think it's like an average of 13 times that someone has to see something before they agree with it, right? So you might see a billboard, and you might not agree with it. It'll say like, you know, chocolate milk's awesome, and you might not like chocolate milk, or you've never had it, or whatever, right? You've never had chocolate milk, but it says chocolate milk is awesome. First time you see the sign, you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you can keep seeing it, right? It's not until the 13th time that you see that sign, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go try some chocolate milk, right? So, a lot of times people who are ready to buy, people who come to you and they're like, okay, I'm ready, or they're ready to go, it's because they've seen Herbalife before, 13 times, or they've been approached before, right? Not approached by like someone else, like actually saying, hey, you know, and inviting them and stuff, right? But like maybe on their Instagram, someone's like, hey, you should try Herbalife, and they just ignored them, you know, whatever it is. A lot of times, people who have been approached before, especially here in LA. So a lot of people look at it as a disadvantage, like, oh, LA's, you know, saturated. But you have to look at the benefits too, right, of that is the fact that people are more warmed up to it now. So when it comes to making that decision, it's, you know, it's like, oh, well, Herbalife. I've heard of this before, I've seen people losing weight, I'm ready to try it, you know, things like that. So, objections. So it's not number 6 yet, it's still number 5. Objections, right? So what's the biggest objection that people give you when
Can't afford it.
can't afford it, right? Price. Price is always the biggest objection we have. Okay, so the way I get around that is the first thing you want to do is minimize it, right? You minimize the risk because the objection is price because of the risk, right? If it was buying a new car for $100, there's not a lot of risk if you're getting a car for $100, right? So you're just like, there's risk on the flip side, like, is this real? But for something like this, it's risk because they're spending $100, $200, $300, right, on a product that they're not sure works. So the first step that I do is I minimize it, right? So I help them see that $100 is really not a lot of money for what they're getting. I minimize that risk. I ask them, what other things have you spent $100 on? Especially if it's someone I'm talking to and they have like a Louis purse, some nice shoes, Jordans on. I'm like, I let them know, like, I'm very, like, I just try to communicate in the most polite way possible, but I say, you can feel people out. Like, if you're having like a real conversation with someone, you know, you're just like, you know, $100, and they're like, man, that's too much. I'm like, how much do J's cost? You know, 160. I'm like, all right, J's helping you lose weight. Are them J's helping you reach your fitness goal? Would you, if you could go back in time, would you trade those J's to be in better shape? You know, or would you trade that purse to be in better shape? If there was a magic genie who said, give me that purse and I'll take 20 pounds off you right now. A lot of people be like, well, yeah. I say, exactly. Right? And then I also say, think about it. If someone's like, $100 is too much, I say, how much do you spend when you go out to the bar? How much do you spend when you go out to do this? $30, $20, and I say, okay, so in the next month or two, right, you're definitely going to spend at least $100 going out, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So if I told you that you would lose, right, 15 pounds over the next month or two, if you decided just not to go out anymore, if you just stopped going out for 2 months and you could lose that weight, would you do it? If you knew that at the end of those 2 months you'd be down 15 pounds, would you do it? Most people would say yes, you know? So you gotta just paint that picture with them, help minimize that, right? And help them see it, you know, if you could just trade a couple of times going out, right? And instead of using that money to go out, do that, you know? The other way that you do it is to maximize the benefit. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question about that regarding, like you said, the price, because I've had clients that have bought from me and they're like, oh, I lost weight, you know, I lost 9 pounds in a month, and you know,
Right.
I would pump them up and say, that's awesome, you know, so are you ready to reorder? It's
Right.
about that time, and they're like, not yet. I'm like, well, imagine you could lose another 9 pounds or
Right.
more next month, you know, where you would be, and they're like, yeah, that's true, but it's still not connecting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you get past that? Because I had a male client that was super pumped, you know, he lost some weight, and then, you know, he didn't want to do it another month. Like,
Right. So, a lot of times there is no way to get past that. at the end of the day, right, it's 100% the customer, right? And all you can do is influence a decision, but you cannot force it, right? And a lot of my customers don't reorder sometimes, right? But I say no problem, I keep moving, and I always ask for action, right? I say, okay, great, when will you be ready to reorder, you know? And I try to get that, right? Because now when that time comes, I can call them and say, hey, and if they're still, you know, playing around with it, no problem. When will you be ready, right? Because by that time, if they're not reordering, right, they're probably starting to put some weight back on, you know, and then, dang, I should have reordered, you know? So, sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. So at the end of the day, everybody makes their own decisions. So then empathizing is what I do also. So empathizing is, it's not, when someone says, well, that's too much money, right? Or it's a lot of money. Empathizing is not saying, yeah, but it's this, right? It's not agreeing with them. Okay? Empathizing is understanding, and understanding how they feel about it, but staying strong about what it is, right? So a perfect example of empathizing, someone says, well, that's too much money. And I say, I understand, you know, it is, it's not the cheapest thing, right? But something like that. But you don't want to agree with them. Yeah, it is expensive, you know, or yeah, it's a lot of money. Because honestly, I don't think it's a lot of money. For what you get, it's not a lot of money. So you want to empathize. You want to say, you know what, I understand your concerns, and other people, a couple of my other clients have felt the same. But once they started, they realized this. Once they started, they did this. You know, once they started, they realized that they were actually saving money because they were replacing 2 meals per day, and this, and that. You know, and then you can tell a short story. I always tell a story about a college student I started. Her name is Jessica, and she's actually about to be a supervisor this month. And when she started, she used the last bit of her money to get started on a program, but it ended up saving her money in the long run because she wasn't spending money twice a day at Subway across the street from her house. You know, so I tell stories like that, and you can tell stories that way too. It doesn't have to be your client. You know, you can tell that story right there. You know, Jessica on our team, right? Doesn't have to be your client. But yeah, just go Jessica on our team. She started her program and damn, save money for this and that. So empathize, right? And then of course, we have the flexibility to change prices, right? We have the flexibility to say, okay, we're not change prices, but change the program. We have the flexibility, okay, $250 doesn't work for you, right? So what I say, because you want to start high because you can never work your way up. You can always work your way down. So start high, right? And expect that there's going to be an objection, right? Hope for the best, right? Because there are people who are like, okay, 350, no problem, right? But expect that there's going to be an objection and be ready for it. And when you do get an objection, the first thing you want to do is you want to gain agreement, right? So Celeste spoke about gaining agreement before. You want to get 4 yeses. Very important, because what happens is once the customer says yes 4 times, right, during the conversation, it could be usually about anything, right? If you're just talking to them and like, okay, great, so you want to lose, they already told you they want to lose 20 pounds. You reiterated, so you want to lose 20 pounds, correct? Yes, that's 1. So now they're getting in agreement with you. All right, and you definitely, you're doing this because you want to, you know, give a better example for your kids to be healthy later on. Yes, right? So you're putting it back in their mind, and then now they're agreeing with you. Yes, yes, yes. So keep doing that, you know, get 4 yeses out of them. But don't make it like robotic. Don't make it sound like you're just trying to get 4 yeses. It's just kind of like through the conversation, just throw them in there every now and then, you know? And so if somebody objects the price, gain agreement again and say, okay, so $350 is more than you plan on spending, right? And then like, yes. And then of course, most people just don't say yes. They're like, yes, because I had some bills and this and that and all that, right? And so once you listen to them, right, because listening is always great, then what I say, this is what I use all the time, and it works very well, so you guys can take it. I say, I don't want price to be the only reason you're not 20 pounds down by February. You know, I don't want price to be the only reason why, you know, you can't be a good example for your kids. And I throw the why back in their face kind of, but I let them know, I don't want price to be the only reason why this. Let them know that you truly care, you know. If someone's like, yeah, you know, I need to start this program because the doctor said if I don't start losing weight, I might not make it, right? I've had someone say that and I still didn't start the program. And it's like, cool, I don't want price to be the only reason why, you know, something happens to you, right? And then you say, if the price was more in your budget, would you be willing to start now? You know, if I could work out a price that works for you, would you be willing to start now? Right? And the reason that, and usually the answer is yes, because they wouldn't have even contacted you at all, right? They know that they have to buy something. They know it's not free. Some people do though. I mean, some people are just curious and they have no money at all. They just want to hear you talk. I don't know. But for the most part, right, people have some kind of money, even if it's only $25, right? Get them on some tea, right? So if you say if the price was lower and it fit your budget, would you be willing to start so that you can, and throw the why in the face again, so that you can, you know, lose weight, and the next time you go to your doctor, you know, this and that, they might take you off the medication, whatever it is. No, don't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
whatever you need to say. And most of the time they'll say yes, and then you ask them, go back to asking, so what is your budget? What is your budget? Whatever your budget is, I can work with it. What is your budget? You know, because I want to make sure that you're making a comfortable decision that can also change your life, you know? And then they're like, okay, well, I can afford $80. Perfect, right? Perfect. So what you can get is, bam, you know, get them a shake and tea, you know? Shake and tea, cellulose and tea, whatever it is, right? Get them started on whatever, you know, you can. Because what happens is you start them on something small, you're going to see the value, you're going to build value in that, and then they're going to eventually get more. Story about that, my mom started a guy on Sleep Now, and it worked so well, and he took away his anxiety and stuff, and now he's on a 360 plan. So that's awesome. Right, all right, so that was 5. And number 6 of your wheel is follow-up. Okay. So follow-up is important not only for reorders, but follow-up is important to get people on your team. Okay, because this is a cycle of follow-up, right? Or cycle of everything. So first there's suspects, right? You see people out, everyone's a suspect. Everyone, right? Everybody's on a nutrition plan, so everyone is a suspect. Okay? Then you have to break it down to prospects. So a prospect is somebody who may be interested, somebody you talk to who knows about Herbalife, right? Someone who you planted a seed, right? Plant seeds, plant seeds, plant seeds, I'm telling you. Most of my business, right, comes from things that I've done 2 months ago, most of it, right? People are like, what'd you do to, you know, your volume is crazy this month, and blah, 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 blah. You know, like, what are you doing? It's like, I didn't do anything this month to do that. Like, it's what I did 2 months ago, right? I was going hard in pain, right, with talking to people, invites, all that stuff. And most people have to see it 13 times, so it takes 2 months, right? They're following you on Instagram, so 13 posts, whatever it is, you know, then they're hitting you up. So plant seeds and don't stop, because then you'll always reap a harvest every month from what you did 2 months prior. And that's honestly what's been happening for me this whole year. You know, my first 2 months were slow. When I started the business, very, very slow my first 2 months, actually, to the point where I quit. A lot of people don't know that, right? So I signed up in November. I was a VIP client. I just wanted to get on products. I tried to make some sales my first week in December and failed every last one of those sales, and I quit. I said, I don't want to do this anymore, Mom. I'm done. And so December I had 0 volume. And then it wasn't until January that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this seriously, right? And so January was cool. February was a little better. But March, my volume was like quadruple what I did in January. It's because all those seeds I planted in January started to sprout in March, plus the work I was doing in March. And then it just kept going, so it just compiles. And then eventually, you'll just be getting phone calls from people you talked to 2 months ago, right? So plant seeds. After prospect is customer. So a lot of times we call people clients and they're not clients, they're just customers first. When someone reorders, then they're a client. Okay, so a customer is someone who buys a product from you. You're your customer. And your main mission is to turn your customers into clients, right? So follow-up is huge. If you build a relationship through the month with that person or through the 2 weeks, what I've learned, you guys can do it however you want, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but what I've learned is I started putting people on 2-week programs instead of 1 month. And so instead of giving them 2 shakes, 2 proteins, all that, unless they really can afford it and they really want all that stuff, but for the most part, what I do is I give them 1 shake, 1 protein, you know, tea, sometimes a small one, right? Because it's 2 weeks usually. It's 30 servings twice a day, right? Small tea, aloe, cellulose, right? And it comes out to like 180, right? And so now it's a smaller risk, so you get more yeses, right? So 3 yeses to 180 is better than 2 no's to 360, or even 1 no, or 1 yes, right? One 360 plan is less money and less volume and less impact than 3 180s. You know what I mean? So don't always focus on how big your package is. Just get people results. So that's what I do. Just my tip. Because now, if it's only a 2-week program, in 2 weeks you're going to get results, right? They're going to see some kind of changes in 2 weeks, and it's so much easier to get them to reorder when it's still fresh. Because 2 weeks they're still fresh. A whole month they lost the weight, but like it's been a month. They're kind of just like, oh, you know. But at 2 weeks they're still like kind of fired up. You know, they've just started and they're already getting results. So when you follow up with them, you know, at 3-day mark, at the 7-day mark, at the, you know, the 10-day mark or whatever it is, by the time it's time to reorder for the 2-week program, they're still fired up about it. So you get them on another 2-week program, another on it for a month, and then by that time, usually at the 2-week mark is when I mention the VIP client thing. And I say, you know, now it's time to reorder, but now you can get your products at this price if you become a member. And you know, and then I've been having a conversation with them, who's noticing, things like that. So like usually it doesn't take a whole month to get people on the team now. It's just 2 weeks, and then the rest of the month, you know. Yeah. So customers, you turn your customers into clients. So a client is someone who reorders, right? And you want to build relationships with your clients as well, so that they will eventually either A, send you referrals, right? So the guy at the beach, he went home to visit his family. He was 12 pounds down at the time, and he called me with his mom and his sister on the phone, and they both ordered, right? He's a client now, right? And then you want to turn your clients into partners. And partners would be VIPs or health coaches. And the way that you do that is the same thing I talked about before. So that's the cycle for getting people as far as follow up. What was I going to say? The biggest tip that I can give as far as doing volume, high volume in a month, is VIPs. It's not just me retailing, right? I do retail from all the stuff that I just taught you guys. Just build on that until where it becomes second nature. It helps a lot. But my biggest tip would be to, when you get a VIP client or when you get a new coach on your team, stress the importance of senior consulting. If you build 3 senior consultants every month, your business is going to boom, right? Celeste told me this before, and I listened, and I focused on building 3 senior consultants every single month, right? So literally almost every person that I sign up in a month hits senior consultant the same month, because I let them know, right? Because once they order the program, I'll let them know, look, you've already done this amount of work. All you have to do is get the other half. All you have to do is get 2 more people, get 1 more person, right? And your discount's gonna permanently go to 35%. And you're like, wow, you know? And I stress how important that is, and I really like call them almost every day, like, hey, you know, like, have you talked to anybody, blah, 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 like, you really gotta get this discount, like, you know, it's permanent, because if not, you're gonna go back to 0 the next month, and then you're gonna put in, you know, and I just let them know. And I've literally gotten at least 3 senior consultants every month, and you guys, senior consultant, right, it's 500 volume points, so if you get 3, that's 1,500 already, not including your retail that you've done, and not including your VIP clients and your coaches on your team who aren't supervisors yet. So I've literally done that every single month, and it works like a charm. Usually they do more than 500 volume, usually, in my situations. And it's awesome because they usually bring someone along with them, and it's more downline for you. So do that, and then also senior consultants make you the most money on your check. If you guys are qualified producers and up, then you know that you get a check every month based on your downline. And a senior consultant putting in 500 volume points is $125 on your check. To get that same $125 from a qualified producer, you would have to put in over 1,000 volume points just to get that same $125. Over 1,000 volume points from a qualified producer, right? So, or actually, yeah. So people getting to senior consultant makes you the most money because they're at 25%, so you're getting the other 25%. Right? So 25% of 500, that's 125. So yeah, if you focus on that, your royalty is going to increase, or commission is going to increase, and then you're going to go to your team, and all of that. We have 3 minutes, so wrap it up, and it's perfect timing. All right, so it's not about the sale, it's about the relationship, right? So after the sale, you really, like, a lot of people do it backwards, like they build a relationship until the sale, and after the sale, they're kind of like, okay, cool, right? But you really want to build a relationship after the sale because you want to get that person from being a customer to a client to a partner, okay? And one good way to do that is toma touches, right? So, what's a toma touch? I was like, what's a toma touch? Right, so, the toma touch, TOMA stands for top of mind awareness, right? You want to be at the top of that person's mind, right? All the time. Not all the time, but, right? So TOMA touches, think of it as dating, right? When you're new dating someone, and you're like in love, right? You're doing everything you can to stay in that person's mind. You're calling them, sending them good morning texts, right? You're sending them flowers, you're doing all these things, right? Date, not literally, but date your clients. Like, send them messages. Hey, how are you doing? Just checking on you, right? And a TOMA touch is like, send thank you cards. Like, thank you cards are so big. You have no idea, right? It's the hardest thing to do because nobody wants to sit out and write all that. The hardest part of thank you cards is writing your address, then their address, going to get stamps, put the stamp on it. That's the hardest part, and then making it to your mailbox, right? But do it, right? Because nobody sends thank you cards like that, really. Nobody does that. Right.
That's how I got my art internship. I met this lady, and I knew that she like had connections of some sort, but I didn't get her email and phone number because I thought it was inappropriate. But I had her address and I went to her house.
Yep.
So what I did the next day is I wrote her a thank you letter for having me over for dinner, and gave her my email. I was like, contact me. She emailed me the next day, and she was like, that was so thoughtful. You need to keep that in your generation because no one does that anymore.
Exactly.
That's how I got my internship.
Yep. TOMA touches. Date your clients.
I do 50. My goal is to send 50 thank you cards a month. 50. It helps.
All right, birthdays. So, right, you guys know on BizWorks, if you have BizWorks, you can look at people's birthdays in your downline. Right? Look up their birthdays, write it on a calendar, set alarms on your phone, whatever. On their birthday, just call them. Hey, how are you doing? Cool, happy birthday. Because a lot of them don't even know you have your birthday. They don't know you can see that. So they get a surprise call, that's pretty cool. And the last thing before we wrap up is just understand, like, you will never, ever, 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 right, be perfect at sales. Ever. Right? There's always something you could have improved. Even if you make the sale, There's always something you could have done better. Always. So never beat yourself up. Ever beat yourself up if you don't make a sale. If you talk to 10 people and you get 10 no's, do not beat yourself up. It happens. I've done it. I went out, I remember I was at the beach with Janelle and Tiffany, and we were talking to people, and I got so discouraged because I talked to so many people. I said I talked to so many people, and every last one of them was no, right? So just keep going because it makes you better. And learn from every interaction and then apply it to the next one, right? So every interaction, learn something from it, right? If you made a sale and it was effortless, learn what you did. What did you do during that call, during that moment's evaluation that you can apply to the next one? With confidence, whatever it is, right? And I think it's 12 o'clock on the dot. And so, if anyone has any questions, like, what do you do if someone says this? And, I want to open up the floor for that. It's 12, so if you can leave, you can leave. But I just want to open it up for anyone who has questions on specific things, because we all deal with different things, and I can just give you my insight on what I've done maybe in that situation. So, any questions? No?
I have a question. And this is kind of random. Obviously, like, if you have if a person's already talked and sat down with my coach and had a one evaluation, we all know that, you're not. But one of my coaches asked me, like, what do you do in a situation where you've done all that? This month she had 3 situations where she did all of that, and then the person, like, met someone else that offered them a discount. So they were like, oh, I'm going to go with that person. What do you say at that point, like, to try to either retain the client or, like, other than just no, all I could say was, like, no problem, just go next. But, I mean, I'm going to give her something better.
That situation sucks, right? Sucks. It's happened to me.
It's happened to me.
Right? All you can do is say no problem and just keep going. New fixes all. Mark Addy taught me new fixes all, right? Because you'll think about that, because the reason why you're upset is because, dang, that's what it could have been. It could have been my money. It could have been my sale, right? Just go get a different sale. Go get a different person, right? New fixes all, right? That situation would not matter, right? If that happened and then 5 minutes later you got 3 orders, three new clients, it wouldn't matter. You'd be like, I don't care about that person. I got 3 new ones, right?
Right.
So your character, right? Your character is judged by not by the situation that you want, right? But by the situations you don't want. So if you can remain positive and have that no problem attitude, and really just do what you're supposed to do and focus on new and things like that, then you're going to attract more positivity, right? Because everything in our lives that we have now, we've attracted. And that's just the truth. And it hurts because I've gone through things and I'm still going through some things that I necessarily don't like, right? But I know that I've attracted into my life by the person I've become, right? And some things not necessarily, right? Certain situations, but for the most part, most things happening in your life and all that is kind of the person that you become. You've attracted it. So if I'm not saying that's what's happening to her, but possibility, just look into it. If she keeps getting people who are not being faithful to her when it comes to that, then somewhere, like look inside, have her look inside and see somewhere along, is she not being faithful somewhere? Is she not communicating properly to where people want to be faithful to her? Like,
You know what you just reminded me of from a different conversation we had is about, we were talking about like social media posting. And like you said, build your own brand and people will be attracted to that. So
Yes.
we talking about Herbalife though. So I think a good solution would be like not some, go obviously talk about value of Herbalife, but she would have the value of herself more than that. And
Absolutely.
like the discount would have been relevant.
That's really good. I don't want to go over time, so I'll keep going if you guys want, but I don't want you guys to feel like you have to stay here because it's past 12. And I saw you listening, so yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, very big tip. Social media, all that is great, right? Build your brand, right? Herbalife's awesome. Everybody knows Herbalife is awesome, right? But nobody, if you think about this, right? You're someone who doesn't do Herbalife, or let's put it this way, right? What's something that a lot of people are into that we're not into? Drinking, okay? There might be some of us in here who like drinking, but for the most part, let's say we don't drink, right? And someone's liking your pictures and commenting, saying, hey, what's up? You know, kind of reaching out to you, and you go to the page and it's just all like Corona, right? You don't like Corona, right? You're not gonna follow them. You're not, right? You're just like, all I see is Corona, right? So it's kind of like the same with Herbalife, right? You want to be attractive to people, and if your page is all Herbalife, and I don't mean all Herbalife like you're like having fun and stuff. I mean all Herbalife like reposts of a shake and you know, just plans, you know, like she said, and just like stuff that's not personal, right? No one wants to follow you because now you're just a salesman, right? So build your brand, right? Be Herbalife, but be Alan Fit, right? Like where people are like, give people a reason to want to go with you because there's a million distributors out there. Give people a reason to go with you, right? Because Herbalife is the same between all of us, right? We all sell the same products, right? But give people the reason to go to you. Like people, I guess, hit me up and they're like, man, I'm really inspired by you. You know, you give me so much hope and inspiration, right? Like, how can I get started on these products? You know, I didn't tell them nothing about the product. They want to buy it because of me, because I inspired them because of the person that I am, right? Or that I've become, or whatever, in the past years. So, give people a reason to go with you, right? Like promote Herbalife, but promote yourself. Like build your brand, right? If you look at like one of the top guys in the Addy organization right now, you know, Pro Lover, right? On Instagram. He's very, very popular. He has like 157,000 followers, right? And he's always in the top 10 of the Addy organization for volume, right? But if you go to his page, you see Herbalife, but you see him, right? You see pictures of him, selfies, right? So I started doing more selfies. And Janelle's making fun of me because I do selfies all the time now. I don't care, right? There's a lot of selfies of him. There's a lot of like his body, right? There's a lot of things like that. And then he'll like throw Herbalife in there, like, yep, Herbalife, right? Just like Style, look at Style's page, right? Our mentor, right? Style doesn't have a whole bunch of like Herbalife. It's like Style, like, you know, hey, what's up, Style? Or like food, right? But it's just enough Herbalife in there so you know he's an Herbalife independent distributor, right? But not so much that he's a salesman. It's just him enjoying his life. And then people want to be a part of that. And then they're like, okay, you know, how can I join you? So, good one. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to say that was confirmation because I have a mentor outside of Herbalife and she was saying the same thing. So, you know, that was confirmation about building your own brand. But I wanted to piggyback off what you said, you know, and it just goes even with building your own brand because today I had like a person I know, an associate that had inboxed me. She's like, hey, you know, my mom's been doing Herbalife and the lady that she buys it from is out of town and she wanted to order this, that, and the other. And just, you know, with what we're taught here, the integrity of the business and stuff, it was like I had to turn it down. But, you know, the back of your mind, you're like, oh my God, that could be my value, you know. But, you know, you have to do it because, you know, it's building your brand, your integrity, and it's keeping the integrity of Herbalife.
Absolutely.
And when being uncomfortable is what I stand for. So.
Absolutely. Good.
One thing that I've noticed about myself in situations like that is after talking to Celeste, maybe I'm not bringing enough value to the products themselves as far as what we do as health coaches. And then at the same time, I've learned this from your mom, is if the person is attracted to the savings of the money, maybe that's not the type of person you want to have in your business. Because then they're going to be that client that's still doing the other things. They're going to be that coach that's not committed, but still wants to be a part of it. And that could be the cancer that you don't want in your business. So that could be a reason, like you were saying, you turn down that one, that's what you're putting out there. I don't want that. And then you're getting three. You never know.
Sir?
I was gonna say one thing, like literally, with every time you do or you talk to someone, if you just say whatever it is, even if it's wrong, in confidence, people just don't know. Like if you are just 100% confident in everything that you say all the time, it literally works. I've seen the shift in myself, and like even when I'm wrong and I've said something, I'm like, oh my God, that's not right. I still keep talking like it was like right, because they don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's, I mean, it's the truth though. They don't know. So if you're just really confident in everything, like especially when it comes to the price, and you just say it, like they're not gonna second guess it. You're like, okay, cool. I want to do what she does because I want to look like how she looks. It's just, it just is a shift.
Because if you're like,
If you're iffy about it, oh my God, I would never buy from you. But if you're like, oh, it's $260 and we're gonna get you abs and you're gonna look like this, it's gonna be like that, like I'm gonna be like, okay, cool, I want to do that.
Cool. Thank you for that. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us on this Herbalife University. Hope that was helpful.
Very.
You guys?
Yeah,
All right. I think that's it.
yeah.